Outlaw Law is brought to you by Whitaker and Hamer, attorneys and counselors at law. Your law firm for life.
Welcome back into the Outlaw Lawyers. Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, your hosts, are the managing partners, Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm. Offices conveniently located Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay, Varina, Gastonia, and now in Morehead City. I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate. We get into legalese each and every week. If you've got a situation you're facing, you need some help, you got to have some questions answered, I've got a phone number for you to get in touch with Whitaker and Hamer. It's 800-659-1186. That's 800-659-1186. Leave your contact info, briefly what that call's about, and an attorney with Whitaker and Hamer will be in touch. You can always email your questions to the program, questions@theoutlawlawyer.com, and that's exactly what we have in front of us now. Josh, we have a listener question.
We do, Morgan. This is my favorite part of the show. You know, when we take listener questions and we talk about them on the show, and for our folks who may call in or for our folks who email us, you know, if you come to us with a legal issue, we'll certainly do everything we can to help you, educate you, get you going in the right direction. But sometimes I keep seeing the same thing come up. So I assume a lot of people have that question. And when that happens, I like to take the situation, the legal situation, and I'll create kind of like a hypothetical, you know, so we never use anybody's names. We never use anything that would identify a person. And for like today's question, I've seen this, you know, 10 to 15 times in the past couple of years. And so this hypothetical is kind of just a merger of kind of the same situation coming up over and over again. But this week's listener question is basically, my attorney in fact or agent is not acting in my best interest. What should I do? All right. So that's kind of a general question. And we talked about this a few weeks ago, but we talked about the legal document, a power of attorney, right? So in a legal document, you can appoint someone to be your, back in the day, we called it attorney in fact. Under the new statute, we call it an agent, but you'll hear those terms interchangeably. But I like to say attorney in fact because I'm older and I like the old terms better. But so in our situation, in our fact pattern, we have someone who has had a power of attorney drafted, signed and notarized and witnessed and what have you. And they've given somebody the power, they've named someone their attorney in fact to handle their business affairs for them. Right. And so in this situation that we see come up, the attorney in fact is not doing that. You know, we talked about how that creates a fiduciary duty, which is a special relationship where you owe, the attorney in fact owes the principal, the person who gave the power, a special duty to act in their best interest. And so here we have a, you know, attorney in fact that's paying their personal bills using the account of the principal or selling property to benefit themselves. But we see this happen. You know, you hope when you name somebody attorney in fact, it's someone you trust and someone that will act in your best interest. But it does happen where that person they're in a very powerful position and they have access to your assets, and so they can take advantage of you if they so choose. Joe, I don't know if you see that as much as we do down here in the Garner and Raleigh offices, but that's a thing that happens.
Yeah, you do see it, man. And I want to go back. You did a great job of setting that up and bringing us in, man. But you said this is your favorite part of the show, and really, man, more than talking about a special master, like that's you're gonna give this the crown over that riveting discussion, man.
I do, Joseph. I feel like I think if you have to rate our segments for excitement level, I think the special master. I thought we would have a higher level of excitement, but we really defined special master, and that was it.
Yeah, it was tough, man. It was tough. We're gonna bring it back right here. We're getting in touch with the people. But I agree with you, man. Generally speaking, the listener question, getting in tune and answering questions for our listeners is my favorite part as well. It's the number one thing we do, and it's the thing I enjoy the most. So yes, I can say we deal with a lot of POAs here. We deal with a lot of attorney in fact situations, and unfortunately, it is the case, and I don't want to say it's the case more often than not. I think it's a fairly rare occurrence, but it is the case where there can be situations where that attorney, in fact, is kind of abusing the privilege and the responsibility that's given to them, and they can overstep their bounds. And I think what it really comes down to, and what we really need to encourage everybody, anyone who's considering having a POA, or anyone who's already appointed their own attorney, in fact, to act on their behalf, it's very important to carefully consider, one, who you're going to give that authority to, and the person that you're going to appoint, because this is you're giving them a lot of power, and you're giving them potentially a lot of ability to do things on your behalf, to act on your behalf. So carefully consider the individual. And then two, I think it comes down to making sure that you're very careful in how you draft this power of attorney, and make sure that you're consulting a professional that's fully explaining to you the ramifications of giving this power, because there's certain things that you may want to retain the ability to do, but let's be clear, you give that attorney, in fact, the power to do something, they're going to be able to do it, and third parties, the real effect of that is third parties are going to be able to rely on that document. So you may be able to sue and seek some kind of retribution for these actions being taken, but third parties are going to be relying on the document, and that's where you're going to get into a situation where it may be difficult to undo something that's been done. So it's very tough to go back after the fact and correct something like that. So again, carefully draft, make sure you understand the power you're giving away, and make sure it's somebody that you're comfortable giving that power to.
Yeah, definitely. If a third party relies on your power of attorney, that you're not really going to have any liability for a good faith third party who was relying on your power of attorney and dealing with your agent, your attorney, in fact. So the liability doesn't really lie there. The liability is a lot of the times, and every fact situation is different, right? So we kind of have to look at the facts, but usually what you're going to see is your first step, if this is happening, your first step is to revoke your power of attorney, right? Just stop the damage, whatever's already taken place. You can meet with an attorney and try to figure out how to maybe reverse that, or recoup some loss. But the first thing you got to do is you got to revoke your power of attorney. You do that, an attorney would draft a revocation for you, and it's a document that you notarize and gets witnessed, much like the process you went through to get the power of attorney drafted. And you have to give notice to anyone that you know of that might have your power of attorney, right? So if your bank, a lot of times when we talk to people, we'll record the power of attorney down at the Register of Deeds office. So if that's happened, you want to record your revocation. So if anyone finds your power of attorney there, they'll also find your revocation. If your bank has a copy, you're going to want to deliver a copy to your bank or your investment advisor or your CPA or anyone who may have a copy of that power of attorney. And then your attorney, in fact, your agent who's acted against your best interest, who has breached their fiduciary duty, of course, they have some civil liability. If it came to that, if you needed to sue them to recover uh, based on things that they did against your best interest, that's again a conversation you have to have with an attorney. That's very fact based and fact specific. But step one, Joe, is revoking the power of attorney.
Step one, revoke the POA. And getting that revocation taken care of, like if things start to go south with your power of attorney, and you feel that, say you have some kind of huge falling out in your relationship, like you said, step one, revoke it. Get it revoked. And again, that can be a potentially tricky concept, because we're talking about third parties who are relying on that document. And if someone's got a valid POA and they go out and they're doing all these things on your behalf, it's tough to know who all they've communicated with. So it's kind of a tricky situation. But at the same time, the sooner that you can get that revocation, you can show that you gave notice to everyone that you thought should have had notice, the better your situation's going to be if you have to go through some kind of litigation on the back end.
But I think the main point here is you don't want to be in that position. You really got to think about making sure you have a lot of trust. You don't appoint maybe if you're elderly, don't appoint just the person who's helping take care of you the most, or, you think about it, and if you have enough assets, if there's enough there to really be worried about it, maybe a professional, maybe a CPA, maybe an attorney, maybe your investment advisor, maybe there's someone professional who should be doing this for you. Again, assuming what your asset level is, but something to be wary of, something that definitely happens. Hopefully it doesn't happen to anybody who's listening today, but Morgan, we see that a lot. So hopefully this has been helpful to some of our listeners.
Again, folks, it's all about the legalese. Just got to ask the question and you can get answers. There's going to be an opportunity, again, for you to get answers to your questions. You can always call Whitaker and Hamer, where you can find our managing partners and hosts of this program, Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, and their staff of attorneys, which include Cassandra Nicholas and also Taylor Scruggs-Smith and Ashley Penner, all part of the team at Whitaker and Hamer. You can always call this number, 800-659-1186. That's 800-659-1186. Leave your contact information, briefly what that call is about, and an attorney with Whitaker and Hamer will be in touch. And as Josh and Joe have already said today, you can always email your questions to the program, and they will be answered on air. We'll leave names and the certain situations out, but we'll talk about that issue for you. Questions at theoutlawlawyer.com is where you can send those questions. That's questions at theoutlawlawyer.com. We're back for a short wrap-up segment coming up next on The Outlaw Lawyers.